This week in Jamaica Now.
My mind is not on election.
Prime Minister Minister Holness dismisses rumours of an election. Some 427 teachers resign in 14 days, but the government downplays reports of a crisis. The Jamaica Football Federation says it's seeking a tax write-off of more than $100 million. And taxpayers to pay salaries of workers at the fraud-hit Stocks and Securities Limited. Why? I'm Jovan Johnson, and this is Jamaica Now. 3 years into his second term in office, Prime Minister Holness has sought to put an end to rumours of an early general election. He had this to say at a town hall meeting on housing and land at the Harmony Beach Park in Montego Bay, St. James on Thursday.
Elections must be a routine. They must be very short, orderly, and seamless. And then you get back to business. But there are those who want to use the elections to disrupt progress. So let me just say to you, my mind is not on election. My mind is on ensuring that those who are at the base of the society who still have not yet felt the change that is happening, that you will get the chance because your government is not taking its eyes of managing your business and your affairs.
Constitutionally, the next general election is due by September 2025 and the local government election by February next year. Some 427 teachers have resigned from the public school system in the last 14 days, pushing the tally since January to 854. However, Education Minister Williams says the total figure represents a 44% decline compared to the 1,538 teachers who left the system for the similar period last year. At a post-cabinet press briefing on Wednesday, she noted that many of the recent resignations came after the payment of August salaries.
Ahead of the school year, obviously getting notice here a few days before school opens, I can fully understand the uncertainty of our principals or boards across Jamaica, but that is why at least 2-3 weeks ago we sent to our schools a number of different strategies for them to use to help with the recruitment process. Boards were given pre-approval to make early recruitment decisions. They were given approval to engage part-time teachers, to engage retired teachers, to engage pre-trained graduate teachers, to engage final year student teachers, to redeploy underutilized staff.
Jamaica Teachers Association President Leighton Johnson says the situation is a crisis as many schools may start without the required teaching staff. The new school year starts on September 4. And principals who bar students from school because of grooming infractions may face sanctions under the draft National Grooming Policy. Education Minister Williams said the draft policy is being disseminated to schools and the ministry is considering penalties against schools that breach the guidelines once it is finalized. 4 persons, including a woman, are now in custody over the attack on a Beryllium Courier team transporting money to a Scotiabank branch in Mandeville, Manchester on August 25. Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of crime, Fitz Bailey, said Wednesday the police have also recovered 2.5 million Jamaican dollars from the attack. At least 3 persons received gunshot injuries. Now, Scotiabank has dismissed reports that its staff is being questioned in connection with the robbery. And 2 men linked to the August 12 firebombing attack on residents of Walker's Avenue in Gregory Park, Portmore St. Catherine have been charged. 24-year-old mechanic Nigel McClarty from Christian Penn and 21-year-old O'Dane Popchow Fowler from Portmore Villa were charged with 2 counts of murder, 10 counts of arson, as well as possession of a prohibited weapon. The 2 have also been charged with unauthorized possession of ammunition and being part of a criminal organization. A man was shot dead during the attack and a woman later succumbed to fire-related injuries. 11 houses were destroyed. And 30-year-old Kayodi Satchell, the dental assistant who was identified as the woman who abducted 80-year-old Danielle Rowe on Thursday, June 8, has been charged. Miss Satchell was charged on Monday with abduction and murder following a question-and-answer session. More than 40,000 private sector employees represented by 3 of the country's trade unions could be negatively impacted by the Bank of Jamaica's recent caution to businesses to temper any significant increase in wages amid current inflation. President of the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union, Cavan Gale, says already a few companies negotiating salaries with the unions have referenced the statement made by the BOJ Governor, Richard Biles. Mr. Biles has been strongly criticized for these comments made on August 21.
If we do get large wage increases and those translate into increased prices, then we are going to have a new cost push effect on inflation. If those wage increases are A, not that substantial, or B, accompanied by increased productivity, then the impact on price increases should be nominal and not so much of a threat. So that is a challenge, that the wage increases be accompanied by productivity or not be significantly increased.
President of the private sector organization of Jamaica, Metro Siaga, said while the central bank chief's comments may be correct, they were insensitive. The Jamaica Football Federation, JFF, says the more than $100 million owed to Tax Administration Jamaica, TAJ, is not for taxes but accumulated penalties and interest for not being compliant. JFF General Secretary Dennis Chung says the backlog for penalties and interest started even before the current JFF administration took office. Mr. Chung says the Federation is in receipt of a tax compliance certificate from TAJ and that they are current with all obligations. He also revealed that the JFF has applied for a waiver, which will be decided on in September. The government is to pay the salaries of restive employees of investment firm Stocks and Securities Limited, SSL, to avoid disruptions in the ongoing investigation into the alleged fleecing of more than $4 billion from clients. The Finance Minister, Dr. Nigel Clark, says the preliminary figure is about $15 million monthly and is used to cover wages for 22 persons and operational expenses. None of the employees turned up for work at the company's St. Andrew offices on Thursday in protest of the non-payment of their August wages. Dr. Clark says the government has intervened to ensure that the investigation is not compromised. Meanwhile, opposition spokesman on finance Julian Robinson says Dr. Clark needs to disclose the full costs for the investigation, including the amounts being paid to the temporary manager and the international forensic accounting firm Kroll. Meanwhile, the Financial Investigations Division, FID, reported on Thursday that the number of victims allegedly fleeced of their money has climbed from 40 to 70. The amount of money allegedly stolen has also grown by approximately $10 million or 1.5 billion Jamaican dollars, putting the total funds missing so far at the entity to 4 billion Jamaican dollars. The FID said before the next court date in the matter, it anticipates the arrest and charge of other actors. Former client relationship manager at SSL, Jean Panton, is the only person charged in the matter so far. She is due back in court on December 6. Sports icon Usain Bolt is among the victims of the alleged fraud. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. Follow us on X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner, and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. Like this video on our YouTube page, turn on your notification, and subscribe today. I'm Jovan Johnson, and before we go, highlights from the well-supported concert headlined by American R&B singer Chris Brown at the National Stadium on August 27.
I'm so glad to be yours. You're a class of your own. Ooh, little beauty, when you talk to me. sweat home.